All right. Today, like I said, we're talking about wisdom. Wisdom, you can either gain wisdom through experience. A lot of us have gained a bunch of wisdom through experience, and usually it's going through some rough situations, and you think to yourself, I'm not doing that again. And then we can gain wisdom vicariously. We can see other people going through stuff and say, I don't need to go through that personally. I can see what they did and avoid all of that. And so we're going to be looking at wisdom. Now, we talked about this weekend in the book of James, how James pointed out that wisdom can be, what's the word I want to use? Wisdom can be, you can get good wisdom and bad wisdom. And that's something important we need to think about, because oftentimes we think of wisdom, we often associate it with good, smart people, but you can have wisdom and use it for bad means, right? One thing that always jumps out to me is gangs, for a lot of reasons. A lot of the older gang members have the wisdom of what this life is about, but they don't tell the younger guys, right? And so they use that wisdom to get them to do some stuff they have no business doing. And so we see that a lot here in that's one where it's a bunch of other areas, but that's the first one that jumped out to me. So wisdom is important. And so today we're going to walk through 1 Kings 3. I said 2 Kings 2 on Sunday. 1 Kings 3. 1 Kings 3. We're going to walk through that text today. I think that was a really good text about wisdom. Hold on. This might not be the right text. It is not. This is not what I thought it was. Hold on. Sweet baby Jesus. I must have been asleep when I made this Bible study. Hold on. Don't look right. Hold on. This is why you got to check your stuff out. Oh, yeah, it's the right text. Huh, interesting. Okay. Sorry. Scared my own self. All right, we're going to walk through 1 Kings 3 today. This is actually a good text. Somebody start us off reading 1 Kings 3, just what's on the screen, the first 3 verses for us.
Now Solomon made treaty with Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and married Pharaoh's daughter. Then he brought her to the city of David. Oh, Lord, my screen is messing up. Okay. Of David. I'm trying to get all the letters on here. Until he had finished building his own house and the house of the Lord and the walls all around Jerusalem. Meanwhile, the people sacrificed at the high places because there was no house built for the name of the Lord until these days. And Solomon loved the Lord, walking in the statutes of his father, David, except that he sacrificed and burnt incense at the high places. I'm sorry.
Right. No, you good.
They tiny letters.
I'm sorry. All right. So here's what we got going on. We're talking about Solomon. Solomon is taking over for David. Okay. Now, one of the things that you notice in the book of Kings and in the book of Kings and Chronicles, it's a looking back. It's a retelling of the story, right? And so they start off this chapter, even though they're going to talk about Solomon's wisdom, they open with this, and this is important. Most of the people, the writers of that time, the writers of the book of Kings, saw that Solomon was a good king, except he could not leave those foreign women alone, right? Mm-hmm. Even if you read the text over and over again, you'll see where it says David warned Solomon to leave the foreign women alone. Who else? David warned them. God warned them. It's a couple different examples of Solomon hearing, leave these foreign women alone because they're going to turn your heart away from God. And this is kind of the precursor to that, right? Because look what it says. It says that Solomon married Pharaoh's daughter. Now, back in those days, marriage wasn't always about love. Okay. Marriages were like treaties, right? So we would sign a treaty. Notice what it says. You sign a treaty. In order to seal the deal, you would marry. I would give you one of my daughters in marriage. Why? So that way we're now family. You're not going to break your treaty or go back on me because now you're attacking your own family. And that's kind of against the rules, right? You don't attack your family. So this is why, this is how Solomon accumulated a lot of these wives. He would sign treaties and to seal the deal, let me give you a wife, right? And the text says he brought her to the city of David and to the house of the Lord could get built. Now remember, if you remember, before David died, David got all the stuff Solomon needed for the building of the temple, because you remember David wanted to build the temple, but God said what?
No.
He said no. Why did he say no? Anybody remember?
Because he had blood on his hand. So
right. He said David had too much blood on his hands. Okay. So because of that, Solomon, he told him, he said, you're not going to build the temple. He said, your son Solomon's going to do. Notice what happens. Notice what the text says, right?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the people sacrifice at the high places. Now, do you understand what the high places are, right? The high places, a lot of times, is where they figured the higher you were up, the closer you were to God. Yeah, I mean, we see a little bit of this now. People are like, oh yeah, I like climbing mountains. I just feel so close to God up there. And I mean, I get it. You can see a lot of stuff. It feels very, it's very spiritual feeling or whatever. But the high places usually in the Bible refers to people sacrificing to foreign gods. Now, the way the text is saying this, it's saying it as if they may have been doing that, but it also could have been sacrificing to God, right? Because this is, meanwhile, the people sacrificed at the high places because there was no place built in the name of the Lord in those days. Meaning that since they couldn't, Moses had the tabernacle and all that other stuff that wasn't set up in Jerusalem just yet. And so, and look what it says. Solomon loved the Lord, walking in the statutes of his father, except he sacrificed and burnt incense to high places. Pay attention to the Bible a lot of times, because it's like that could accept, or he's like, Solomon, he did good, he followed in his footsteps of his father, but he did sacrifice stuff to high places. But it tells you why he started sacrificing stuff to high places. Why? This looks like this Egyptian wife he married. Mm-hmm. All right, so let's read 4 through 9 for us.
Now the king went to Gibeon to sacrifice there, for that was the great high place. Solomon offered 1,000 burnt offerings on that altar. At Gibeon, the Lord appeared to Solomon in a dream by night, and God said, "Ask, what shall I give you?" And Solomon said, "You have shown great mercy to your servant David, my father, because he walked before you in truth, in righteousness, and in uprightness of heart with you. You have continued this great kindness for him, and you have given him a son to sit on his throne, as it is this day. Now, O Lord my God, you have made your servant king instead of my father David, but I am a little child. I do not know how to go out or come in. And your servant is in the midst of your people whom you have chosen, a great people, too numerous to be numbered or counted. Therefore, give to your servant an understanding heart to judge your people, that I may discern between good and evil. For who is able to judge this great people of yours?"
All right. So it may appear that Solomon, now, I don't know if they're foreshadowing in that text, or if he didn't marry somebody. Now, they would do that though. If the king was too young to rule, he'd be married to this wife. I don't know if he would consummate the marriage. That would be weird. If you're a 7-year-old and have to, never mind. I didn't want to go down that road. Anyways, but God comes to Solomon and says, "What? I give you whatever you ask. Whatever you want, Solomon, I'll give it to you." And Solomon has enough sense to know, and to me, that a lot of times the beginning of wisdom, having enough sense to know you don't know everything.
Mhm.
For a lot of us, it takes us a long time to get to that point, right?
True.
To get to that point to realize that I don't know everything. I tell people the older I get, the more I realize what I don't know. And maybe that's wisdom. The more I realize I don't know, especially since I've been trying to get through school. I keep reading stuff like I did not know this. And so you realize the vastness, the little that you do know, you realize that the vastness of the things that you don't know. And so Solomon understood not only the fact that he was king, following David was important, but he was a young king. I think they said Solomon was, I think he said he was 10. I can't remember off the top of my head. Between 8 and 10. So Solomon was a young king. And so what does he ask for? He says, I want wisdom. I want to know how to discern, to teach, to help your people. That's what I want.
Welcome to Zoom. Enter your meeting ID.
And so and so that was the thing. So for Solomon, he wanted to know how to lead God's people. And so David talked to him before he died, right? He tells him, follow God, follow his commandments, follow the things that he tells you, because those things are what will keep you right as a king. Right? And so Solomon is Sister Ray, you have to mute something because I'm hearing myself and it's weirding me out. Okay. So Solomon asked for wisdom. Now he's better than me because at 10, I don't know what I would ask for. Maybe wisdom wouldn't be the top of my list. You get what I'm saying?
Yep.
But he asked for wisdom. He asked for wisdom. All right. So let's keep going. Let's see what God says. Somebody read 10 through 15.
The speech pleased the Lord that Solomon had asked this thing. Then God said to him, because you have asked this thing, and have not asked long life for yourself, nor have asked riches for yourself, nor have asked the life of your enemies, but have asked for yourself understanding to discern justice. Behold, I have done according to your word. See, I have given you a wise and understanding heart, so that there has not been anyone like you before, nor shall any like you arise after you. And I have also given you what you have not asked, both riches and honor, so that there shall not be anyone like you among the kings all your days. So if you walk in my way to keep my statute and my commandments as your father David walked, then I will lengthen your days. Then Solomon woke, and indeed it had been a dream. And he came to Jerusalem and stood before the ark of the covenant of the Lord, offered up burnt offerings, offered peace offerings, and made a feast for all his servants.
All right. So one thing we know about Solomon, he is a praiser like his father, right? Notice it says when he went to Gibeon was the high place at the time. What did he do? They said he gave 1,000 burnt offerings at that point. Then when he has this dream and God says he's going to give him all this stuff, what happens? He goes and he praises God. He has enough wisdom to know that he needs God through this whole process, right? And I think that's what's wrong. I think that's a challenge for a lot of us. We forget that we need God at every step. Now, of course, we figure, well, he's the king. He knows he should need God. I seen this post on Facebook that trips me out where people said, so you need the Holy Spirit to get to heaven? And they was like, bro, you need Jesus to go to Walmart. And I was like, that is true. You need Jesus to go to Walmart. So we need him at every step. And sometimes we forget that. Sometimes I'm reading this really good book right now, and it was talking about how we in the African American community have lost some things due to we lost some of our community aspects trying to chase the American dream, and the American dream is all about individualism. When everybody in America wants to be their own special individual, and there was some power and, some stuff in us being a united front. And so Solomon has this dream. He wakes up, he gets this offering. Now, this is one of the more popular scriptures demonstrating Solomon's wisdom. We pretty much know this. And so let's walk through it. I'll read it for us. 1 Kings 3:16 through 21. Now, 2 women who were harlots came to the king and stood before him. And one woman said, "Oh, my lord, this woman and I dwell in the same house and gave, same house, and I gave birth while she was in the house. Then it happened the 3rd day after I had given birth, this woman also gave birth, and we were together. No one else is in the house except for the 2 of us in the house. And this woman's son died in the night because she lay on him. So she arose in the middle of the night, took my son from my side while your maidservant slept, and laid on him in her bosom, and laid the dead child in my bosom. And when I arose in the morning to nurse my son, there he was dead. But when I examined him in the morning, indeed, it was not my son whom I had born." All right. So there's the dilemma. You got 2 women. They're called harlots. So it appears they had this was the what's the word I want to use? The byproduct of their work of choice. They had 2 kids. Both of them were pregnant at the same time. One said she gave birth. 3 days later, the other one gave birth, right? And one baby took one baby, did a switcheroo. And so this probably was not an uncommon thing for somebody in that line of work to end up pregnant. And so the question you're asking, your question you have to ask yourself, can a mother tell her own child? Right? 2 kids born, we've heard stories of kids being swapped at birth. I think that's why I know when I had my kids, they give you a bracelet. They gave me a bracelet as the dad. They gave Liz a bracelet as the mom, and they put a little bracelet around their little foot. And anytime they handed you a baby, all that stuff had to match up. I think people back in the day used to go to the hospital and just grab a baby and run out. Wasn't that a thing? Am I tripping?
Yeah. No, they did it. They actually did it.
Yeah,
Okay.
it happened.
That's what I was thinking, right? Back in the day, people used to
Mhm.
go to the hospital. "Oh, I want to see my son." And you be like, "Okay."
Mhm.
And then you just walk out with somebody else's baby.
Yeah.
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 Has happened. Yeah.
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 So the question is, would you, as a parent, know that's your child? If you saw that
Yes.
child in the street,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Okay. And so this is the question at hand, right? Does this mother know her child, right?
Mhm.
All right. So we'll continue on. The other woman said, "No, but the living one is my son, and the dead one is your son." And the first woman said, "No, but the dead one is your son, and the living one is my son."
Mhm.
Thus they spoke before the king. And the king says, the one says, "This is my son who is living, and your son is dead." And the other says, "No, but your son is the dead one, and my son is living." When the king said, "Bring me a sword." So they brought him a sword before the king. And the king said, "Divide the living baby into, give half to one and half to the other." Now, I'm not gonna lie. When you first read this sounds like an extreme, like, whoa, you done went left, Solomon.
Mhm. Mhm.
You gonna cut the living baby in half,
Mhm.
right? You gonna cut the child in half.
Good example of
That,
not
that
jumping
was
to conclusion and listening to the whole thing, huh?
Right.
that was
Right.
that wisdom. That
Right.
wisdom.
Because
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if you pause right here in this story, like let's say you read this for the first time, you're like, "Oh my gosh, Solomon, I just prayed for
Yeah.
wisdom. Now you gonna cut a baby in half?"
Yeah.
And I like
Yeah.
what Brother Watson said. This is why this wisdom tells you to hear the whole story.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
remember, this happened a long time ago, so this is okay. It's out there. I remember when that issue with Susan Smith, where she, that lady who drowned her kids in South Carolina.
Oh, yes.
I
Yeah.
remember vividly when she was telling her account of what happened. I remember my dad plain as day saying, "This don't sound right." I didn't get it then. I was maybe, I was a little kid, but he kept saying, "That don't sound right." And now at 40 years old, if I heard somebody say, oh, somebody just jumped in my car, stole the car, like it said, saw 3 little white babies in the back and kept on driving.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not buying that. That just, yeah, it don't sound right, right?
Especially especially a black person.
Right.
You know, they're gonna stop and at least put them out.
Right. Right. And so the thing about it is that's why you got to hear the whole story sometimes. Because I think sometimes we try to jump to the end, and sometimes we need to listen to the whole thing. Because there might be it might be a bit of information that you're missing. And I will say this: sometimes as a preacher and a pastor, sometimes I'd be like, okay, I already know the answer, but then I have to say, hold on, just chill.
Yeah.
And hear the rest of it out.
Yeah.
Now, most of the time, what I thought initially was correct, but it's good to get that confirmation instead of saying, because I know sometimes we as preachers, I already know what you need to do. You need to do X, Y, and Z. Maybe you do need to do X, Y, and Z, but maybe you don't need to do it in that order. You get what I'm saying? Sometimes you have the right idea, but if you don't know, like we talked about on Sunday, wisdom is not only knowing what to do, but when to apply it, right? So even if the Lord's giving you the answer, sometimes you might have to say, you know what, this is where you need to go. You need to go here. But before you get here, there's some stuff you got to do to get to that point. Because like I said on Sunday, a lot of times God takes us the roundabout way because it's during the roundabout way we learn stuff about God, right? Have you ever looked back over your life and said, why did I have to go through all that? And then you realize in order to get where you were going, you had to pick up some skills, you had to deal with some stuff, you had to get toughened up a little bit. So that when you finally got to that position, you were ready to handle it, right?
Oh, yeah.
All right. So let's keep going. Okay. Then the woman whose son was living spoke to the king as she yearned with compassion for her son. And she said, oh, my Lord, give her the living child and by no means kill him. But the other one said, let him be neither mine nor yours, but divide him. Lord, that's petty. So the king answered and said, give the first woman the living child. By no means kill him. She is his mother. So Solomon knew that the real mother
wouldn't have let it happen.
Would rather her kid go to the other woman than to see that child be hurt. Right? Because she understood that if that's her child, she loved them. She was not going to she did not want to put that child in a bad position, right? And that's how you know who a real mother is. Now, the other lady.
So Pastor, do you think that the king knew this? I mean, the king, Lord have mercy. Do you think that he knew this, the reason why he said this, so the mother can speak up and say, let the other one have a baby?
I think it was a test. But you know,
that's what I'm saying. That if he wasn't gonna probably really do it, he was just seeing if you know.
That's what it was. It was a test to see who, because the real mom was gonna speak up, right?
Yeah.
Because I mean, if somebody was like, we're gonna chop the guy in half, or he can go live with his white family, I'm like, he can go with that white family, I'll steal him back later.
Especially with what the other mother said, yeah, go ahead on and do it.
Right. What she said? Let him be neither mine than yours. I want you to be as much pain as I probably am for seeing that my son died. Right? Give it up. I think about, like I said, that's some petty mess, right?
Yeah.
My baby's dead. And so since I can't bring my baby back, you need to feel the pain I'm feeling.
We got people like that today.
I know. That's why it's not uncommon, right? How many people, I mean, this generation that's coming up, I think even my generation and even worse, this generation behind us, they thrive on doing petty stuff like this. It excites them. They brag about it.
Yeah.
Right? They're excited about, oh, they did this to me, so I'm gonna do like, you know, I remember as a young kid, my mom used to always tell me, just because somebody does something wrong to you doesn't mean you have to do anything back. And
mom always say two wrongs don't make a right.
Right. Because once you trek down the petty road, it's hard to come back, for one.
Yeah.
And for two, you don't realize you're not, you know, it keeps escalating. I'm gonna be honest with you. So this is why a lot of these I stumbled across. So I got teenage kids, and so they be trying to force me to listen to their music. It's garbage. But and I watched it. So I watched a documentary about one of these little rappers they were talking about. And these guys, what they're doing now is they'll do something crazy in the streets, then go to the studio and make a whole song about it to antagonize the people they got issues with.
Yeah.
And so that level of pettiness just keeps getting worse and worse. And then they just keep going back and forth. You killed this person, so we're gonna kill that person, you know, and so on and so forth. And it just never stops. It never ends. And usually it's all because it all starts over something stupid. There's a rapper who died recently named Young Dolph. And I didn't know anything about him. I'm telling my kids are trying to tell me about him. And this guy might have died. The initial beef that started was him and some other rappers were beefing over the title King of Memphis. Everybody know Elvis is the King of Memphis. But you get my point though, right? That's nothing to kill somebody over.
That's right.
But because I'm being petty to you, and then, you said something about me on a record, so I'm gonna say something else about you, and then it just keeps escalating until now you're in the streets killing each other because your pride is hurt, right? Or so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But think about that. We do the same. We can, and I want to just bag mouth. Sometimes we do the same thing in the church. Oh, she parked in my spot. I'm not gonna put her on this committee to help with the chicken wings or something. We do stuff like that.
They sitting in my seat.
Oh, that's petty. Very, very petty, Betty Curry.
Right.
Petty.
Listen, sitting in my seat will get somebody cut. If not physically, with their eyes at least.
I don't think it's going that far now, Pastor.
Listen, I remember I had a friend of mine come visit us in San Diego, and she was sitting in one of the senior member seats. The look she shot her.
Yeah, could have killed.
Could have killed. Just a guess now. The church wasn't that big, it's like somebody coming to St. Mark, they a guest. You know what I'm saying? We ain't had that many people in there. You knew all the people who usually show up. That was sad though. Once she found out she was a guest of mine. Oh, hey, how you doing? But it shouldn't be that way, right?
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry.
No, it's true though. If looks could kill.
Oh God.
If looks could kill, my friend would have been dead. My friend would have been dead. Right? But like I said, after I got up and said, "Oh, my friend Dana is visiting. We will get her to sing, but she's a little hoarse." Then I was like, "Oh, hey," but it shouldn't be that way. You know what I'm saying? You should be ready to call somebody physical harm because they sat in your seat.
Yeah.
But we do that though. We do that. Right?
Yeah.
But for those of us who've been married or married, you want to be petty with your spouse all the time. Oh, you made dinner and didn't fix me nothing? Bet I got you. Right? You could be like, I got you. Don't worry about it. Don't even worry about it. You go to their favorite restaurant, buy a whole meal, and don't rate it.
Now, them fighting words.
Right. That'll get you cut, right? But we do that to each other sometimes in marriages, right? We're escalating. That's how you end up in divorce court with irreconcilable differences.
Yeah.
All because
Didn't bring me no sandwich.
Right. And so when I do premarital counseling, I try to tell the couples, I'm like, yo, the stuff y'all gonna argue about gonna seem stupid because that's the stuff you argue about. I know y'all think it's all sunshine and rainbows now, but when you in this thing and you come in the bathroom and they done shaved their face or something and got hair all in the sink and you disgusted by it, you gonna take that junk personally. Oh, they did this personally because they don't like, and then you gonna do something to them and they just keep going on and it never got out.
Yeah.
So going down the petty road is not beneficial for either party, right? Because people nowadays are crazy. They take stuff to the limit. It ain't like it was back in the day.
Nope.
Political system.
Well, look, that's just as bad. Saw a video the other day. Young lady, I guess young lady was mad because the dude she was with was involved with another young lady. She took a brick and broke out the other girl's car.
Mm.
Girl got out her car with her gun and started shooting and shot that girl.
Oh.
She didn't kill her, but she did shoot her.
Mm.
And so now that young lady's gonna go to jail for X amount of time, all because of what?
Mm.
A no good man.
Yep. Why fight the lady? Fight the man, because
Yeah,
if you fight the
yeah,
lady, he gonna
he's-
go on to somebody else.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, look, I mean, to be honest with you, if you think about it, that girl in jail who did the shooting, the other
Yeah.
girl either in the hospital or getting out the hospital, who knows where
And he
at?
gone on. He gone on.
Yeah. There it is. That's it. That's it.
So,
Yep, he gone on to somebody else while
Right.
y'all two laying up.
so the point I'm trying to make is, especially with this part, we have to be careful about our own pettiness. We're easy to track down
Yes.
this road.
Yes,
It's easy
yeah,
because what the old saying goes: hurt people, right?
yeah, yeah.
You hurt me, I'm gonna hurt you, right?
That's sad.
Notice what the
Sad.
text says. All of Israel heard the judgment which the king had rendered, and they feared the king. For they saw that the wisdom of the Lord was in him to administer justice. And so
Mhm.
this good ruling, the word spread like, ooh, Solomon pulled a good one. And so now people are like, man, we can't go in here trying to trick the king if God is giving him some insight. And that's what wisdom comes from. A lot of good wisdom comes from God. There's been some stuff. And I was thinking about doing, and something was like, don't do that.
Mm.
And I was like, no, maybe I should. Don't do that. And so I said, okay, I'm not going to do it. And then you look back at it, hindsight being 2020, we're like, I'm so glad I didn't do X, Y, or Z.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, yeah.
Because good wisdom comes from above. Sometimes God will allow you to gain some stuff without you having to go through it personally. And so,
Mhm.
yeah, we didn't take too long today. But the thing I want us to understand is, first off, wisdom, good wisdom, holy wisdom comes from above. And we have to know how to apply that wisdom in a way that mostly glorifies God in the sense, because a lot of times we do stuff to glorify ourselves, and God gets the leftovers or the afterthoughts. I tell people sometimes the reason why God won't elevate you because he knows once he does, you won't act like, you don't get the big head.
Yeah.
So sometimes he take you that roundabout way because that way you can't brag about what you did.
Yeah, what you did, that's true.
Right. You didn't do this. And so,
Mhm.
so Solomon, in a sense, is, so the one thing I like about Solomon is a wise man. We know, we read the text, Solomon is said to wrote the book of Ecclesiastes. He's said to him and David were a collector of proverbs, and that of the like. So he understood the importance of wisdom. And I really want us to, as we're going forward, to understand the importance of wisdom and how to apply wisdom properly. That's the key. How to apply wisdom properly. And, one of the things you could tell people is, if you're using good wisdom, I should see good fruit from your wisdom. And I think that is important for our leaders, for leadership also, right? You could tell a leader is using wisdom, good godly wisdom, because you'll see good godly results, right? If you're seeing a whole bunch of mess, maybe they're not using godly wisdom. And so we have to be mindful of that. All right, I'm not going to hold you guys up any longer since we're done. We made it through in pretty good time. So I'm going to turn off the recording. God bless you and keep you. May God's face shine upon you and give you peace.